Hello, Movie Max here. Today, I will make sense of a parody/dream film called The Fresh Out of the Box New Confirmation. Spoilers ahead. Take care and be careful. The film is set in reality as we know it, where God resides in a loft in Brussels with his significant other and girl, EA. He likewise has a senior child, Jesus Christ, or JC for short. God doesn't get along well with anyone in the family because of his controlling nature. Youthful JC ended up being a dissident and ventured out from home since he needed to do things his own way. In addition, God has become extremely disinterested in creating millions of species of creatures. Before the formation of people, he made the city of Brussels and filled it with creatures. He before long became exhausted of this, as creatures did nothing intriguing. So then, he made the first man in quite a while picture, named Adam. This man meandered randomly around the city for quite a long time until he met the main lady, Eve. As God had planned, they before long reproduced, which prompted human development spreading across the globe. EA, who is 10 years old, is currently restricted from going outside and has no access to the apartment. God burns through the greater part of his day in his office, which has a super PC that he uses to control the destiny of the world. Nobody other than him is permitted inside the workplace. God's significant other is somewhat of a cuckoo and never grumbles about anything. She goes through her days doing weaving and taking a gander at her baseball card assortment, which comprises of precisely 18 cards. It is additionally uncovered that EA, very much like her sibling JC, is equipped for accomplishments of wizardry. One day at the supper table, she moves a glass of water basically with her psyche and expectations this would intrigue her father. In any case, God admonishes her for it, most likely on the grounds that he's desirous, since he can't do sorcery, to divert himself from his dreary life. He made humankind his toys. He viciously makes a great deal of disasters watch the people endure. He also writes universal laws that cause a lot of problems for people. One evening, God incidentally leaves the workplace entryway open, so EA sneaks inside and investigates his supercomputer. The divine child is shocked by all of her father's cruelties. Later at supper, she gets down on her father for it. However, this makes him angry. He pursues her around the loft and whips her with his belt until his resentment dies down. EA finally makes the decision to exact her vengeance by doing good deeds for humanity after years of being emotionally and physically abused. The following day, she goes to the puppet of Jesus Christ in her room. She calls out to him, which is enough for the puppet to change into a living, smaller than usual variant of JC. After that, she tells him everything and asks for guidance. JC advises her to recruit some apostles to spread her teachings. He recommends that she ought to get 6 of such ministers. She can pick 6 arbitrary individuals from God's documents and afterward essentially intrigue them with little wonders. In particular, he recommends that she notice the existences of her missionaries. This will assist EA with composing a shiny new confirmation that will direct mankind proceeding. Before the discussion closes, JC advises her that God isn't anything without his PC. He likewise tips her that she can utilize the clothes washer to escape from the loft. The next night, EA exploits God nodding off on the lounge chair and takes his key. 6 random humanity cards are taken from a file in one of the cabinets as she enters his office. She then, at that point, utilizes the PC to send separate messages to each individual in the world. In it, she uncovers the date of their demises. A while later, EA changes the program's secret phrase to 18 and logs out. She then, at that point, goes to the washing machine, gets inside it, and tracks down a long passage that prompts the rest of the world. As EA creeps through the passage, the world begins to get the texts. Individuals at first believe that it is one major trick. Yet, as the time elapses by, a few group begin passing on precisely on the reference date and time. Humanity quickly realizes that none of these deaths are just random. This causes outright disarray, as everybody knows the amount they have time left to live. A large number of them don't for a moment even appear at work and invest their whole energy with their cherished ones. Wars are deserted and individuals begin posting themselves doing things they for a long time truly needed, however, never thought for even a moment to do. With everything taken into account, the world presently has a more prominent opportunity of will. God wakes up and uses his special television to find out what happened back at the apartment. He immediately tries to enter his office, but he discovers that the key is missing. He then gets a hatchet and obliterates the entryway, just to figure out that he has been kept out of his PC. He can smell EA's fragrance in the room that at last takes him to the clothes washer. Then again, EA at last arrives at the finish of the passage, which is inside one more clothes washer at a laundromat. She leaves the structure and is quickly astounded by the sights and hints of the rest of the world. Additionally partakes in the taste of a burger that she finds in a garbage can. The ruined meat in it makes her hurl immediately. Close by, a vagrant named Victor tracks down her vomiting and attempts to help her. EA inquires as to whether he can peruse and compose. At the point when he answers with a yes, she relegates him as her copyist. She then demands to be taken to the addresses on the missionary's records. Victor agrees to accompany her on the mission because he has nothing important to do. In the meantime, God understands that he'll need to pass on the loft to track down EA. He knows that assuming she assembles devotees like JC, she could annihilate his command over mankind. As a result, he reluctantly enters the washing machine tunnel. Meanwhile, Victor takes EA to see her most memorable witness, orally. Notwithstanding discovering that she has simply 11 years left to live, Orally didn't change anything about her life and proceeded. To the surprise of no one, she lives alone, which is bizarre for a lady so lovely. It comes out that a subway car cut off her arm when she was a little girl. She avoids people because she fears that they will find her creepy. In the meantime, EA moves toward her and gets some information about herself so Victor can compose the illustrations gained from her life for the pristine confirmation. Even though Orally finds it odd, she agrees. She then, at that point, discusses a tale of when she was moved toward by a beggar. She had figured he would burglarize her, yet all things considered, he basically said, life resembles a skating arena. Many individuals fall. Orally cries as she lets them know how that little line stalled out in her head. She assumes she fell quite a while in the past and has never figured out how to remain after that. EA, moved by the story, whispers to the young woman that a miracle will occur soon and puts her ear to her heart. Sometime thereafter, in her fantasies, Orally sees her lost hand moving on her kitchen table and contacts it once more. She, at last, acknowledges her incapacity and chooses to continue on with her personal business. He gives her a few blossoms with his number and even pronounces his affection for her. A stunned Orally doesn't reply, yet she brings the blossoms back home with her. As Jean-Claude keeps on pursuing his bird all over the planet, EA visits the fifth witness, Martine. She is going downhill and just has 5 years left to live. The fact that Martine used to be makes it revealed. Very heartfelt when she was youthful, however wound up trapped in an exhausting marriage. Subsequent to learning about her passing date, she recruited an escort. However, the experience was definitely not a pleasurable one. One evening, EA and Victor find her in an inn hall. The divine child takes her to a nearby circus where they meet a gorilla in a cage. Martine right away makes an association with the monster, making sense of that this is the most gorgeous thing that has at any point happened to her. He understands the gorilla likewise enjoys her and transfers the data. Along these lines, the old woman purchases the monster from the carnival expert and brings him back home. As time elapses by, the gorilla begins understanding that it is presently not in a confined climate. It eventually forms a strong bond with Martine and they kiss. In the meantime, Orally at last calls Francois and welcomes him over to her home. She shows him the slug scar on the prosthetic arm during lunch. The person is stunned to learn that her arm isn't genuine yet. He doesn't mind as he's in that frame of mind with the lady. As a result, he gives her a kiss on the arm and they end up staying the night together. In another location, Jean-Claude continues to follow his bird, which has established a flock. The last messenger is Willie, a small kid who has just 54 days left. He has consistently been debilitated and even got a medical procedure to eliminate his cancer. At the point when he found out about his demise date, Willie chose to embrace his genuine personality and began dressing like a young lady. At the point when EA and Victor meet the youngster, he just has barely 7 days staying to live. She gives him a glossy fish as a gift, which makes him exceptionally cheerful. He currently needs to take it to the sea and deliver it. The two kids additionally start hanging out together similar to a similar age. During this week, the last phase of EA's heavenly arrangement begins moving right into it. On Monday, Willie sells his folks' all's furnishings and heads to an oceanside to deliver his sparkly fish. On Tuesday, Francois commits to quit killing and go through his time on Earth with Aurélie. The following day, the gorilla frightens Martine's significant other off and they go through the night together. Mark and Xenia start dating for the first time on Thursday. The next day, Jean-Claude comes to the cold district, where the herd shapes a bolt to direct him to a nearby lady. The enraged priest and the other immigrants who will be deported to Uzbekistan load God into a plane on Saturday. As it hovers over the city, EA and a portion of her missionaries take Willie to the oceanside so he can kick the bucket at the ocean. In the meantime, God's significant other is blissful as it appears he won't be returning home. While cleaning, she puts on some music and dances to it. She even thinks about going to his office to vacuum the floor. The spouse then turns off the PC so she can associate in the vacuum cleaner, all things considered. This shockingly makes Willie not bite the dust in any event when his foreordained opportunity arrives. Up above in the sky, the plane that God is in begins losing height and starts plunging towards the ocean side. In any case, at that point, the spouse gets done with cleaning and associates the PC once more. This starts the entire framework all along. All the already planned passings are overruled and the PC requests a secret phrase. Inquisitive, she types 18, which prompts the PC to invite her as the goddess. In the interim, God's plane likewise recaptures elevation and everybody loses the instant message with their life commencement. The goddess then makes the world nicer and more beautiful by using the computer. The skies are currently loaded up with blossoms. Individuals can stroll on the lower part of the sea. Gravity is adaptable and the ice covers quit liquefying, paying little mind to a dangerous atmospheric deviation. The last scene shows the repercussions of the goddesses dominating. Martine has a child. With the gorilla, Victor turns into a prestigious creator by distributing the pristine confirmation. Also, Francois gets pregnant with Aurélie's child. In the meantime, God is caught in a Uzbek processing plant, where he checks each clothes washer, expecting an exit plan.